first ever InfoDine online. We're happy to hear from everybody tonight. We're going to hear from some great leaders in our community over the next 40 to 45 minutes. I also want to give a shout out to Todd Geist of Geist Interactive and Robbie Gluckson, Director of Marketing and Outreach for UCLA Health. They're our hosts tonight. Mike Anderson is going to be moderating and interviewing our panel, and he'll guide us through the broadcast. Before we do that, we wanted to ask Robbie Gluckson for UCLA to come on stage and give us an update. Welcome, Robbie.
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you, everyone, for joining us. Welcome to the new normal. I just wanted to say a few brief words in terms of where we are with UCLA Health, and also just to talk a little bit about some of the wonderful things that are happening in the community. First and foremost, I just want to let everyone know we're open. And that seems like a very simple statement, but we've always been open. We've never closed. And for those of us who are in the surrounding communities in Ventura County, in Conejo, in Ventura, just want to let you know that most importantly, if you need to, please go to the doctor. Whether it's UCLA Health or anywhere else, we've had more than 200 protocols put in place since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. And so for across the board, all health systems and UCLA Health, we're worried about the second wave, and that second wave isn't the second wave of COVID. The second wave are the people who are staying home and not going to the doctor. Many families who have young children are afraid to go back and have their kids vaccinated on their regular vaccination schedule. Seniors are concerned about medications, but they're doing all sorts of things we don't want them to do. We want people to know across the board, please come back to your doctor if you need to. As you probably already read, many health systems have pivoted to virtual visits. I just got the numbers. In April, I think in February, we did 1,000. In April, we did 80,000 video visits. That's an extraordinary pivot for any institution. And now we're coming back in terms of a hybrid model. So whether it's video visits or whether it's in person, we're open. So that's the first thing. A second thing, and if you could put the graphic up on the screen, I just wanted to take a quick look and let everybody know. This is available through John. You can email him. This is basically just some of the things that are happening at UCLA right now. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Suffice it to say, we're on the front lines of research. We have, as of last week, I think 12 clinical trials around COVID, very promising. And so if you need more information, just remember, you can even Google UCLA Health and the word coronavirus. And there are reams and reams and reams of very, very important information for everyone. Next thing I just wanted to say is, even though we are in the middle of all of this, UCLA continues to grow, and we're really, really excited to announce we are opening in Santa Barbara with primary and specialty care in early July. So that's very, very exciting news. And then in the fall, we will be opening with hematology oncology in the Santa Barbara area. And in addition to that, in Ventura, we've expanded with new specialties. And we are opening another facility in the Westlake Village area on Triumpho, and that opens in July too, to expand more physicians, more specialties, more room. So finally, the last thing I wanted to say is we have a very interesting campaign running. All the major health systems in Southern California have joined together for a program and really just a campaign called Better Together. Extraordinary times. So it's us, it's Providence, it's Cedars, and the list goes on and on, Dignity, Kaiser, and we're all basically saying it's okay to come back to your doctor. We have met the surge head on, and we are very excited to let everybody know the most important message, united all health systems around Southern California, is we're here for you. And so John knows how to find me, and everybody else does as well in terms of UCLA Health. Just Google us, and on with the show. Thank you.
Robbie, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate you joining us tonight. And I'm going to show that one more time. You have that document here that you guys put out. And if anyone wants to get a copy of this, you're more than welcome to email John Lockhart, People Media, and you can get a copy of that. And wanted to share that. Thank you so much, Robbie. I hope you'll stick around for any questions that may come up. Wonderful. All right. That's great. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the program. My name is Mike Anderson, and many of you have seen more of these live streams coming to you. We've done a number of them with KVTA Radio, also with New West Symphony, with Westlake Village Symphony, with a number of different outfits, Food Share, the Ronald McDonald House Charities. So these live streams are something that are unique and different, and definitely happy to bring this to you today. You can get more information about those at peoplemedia.live. But today we got a lot of guests, some wonderful guests from the community here, and we're going to bring our first one on now. I'm going to bring him on. It's Mark Fitzpatrick. Mark Fitzpatrick is a new board member with New West Symphony. He's also the Chief of Technology Operations at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute. Mark, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
I want to start with a question, Mark. So many of us are familiar with the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library right here in Simi Valley in California. But what's the premise with the idea of having the Reagan Institute in Washington, D.C.? A lot of people don't know about those. How are they related? And how does that kind of role that you have support California and Washington, D.C.? Kind of a complex question at the start here.
That's a good question, a really good question. And a lot of people have asked that question. People typically put the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library atop of the hill in Simi Valley as a place to come and see the museum, and in some cases do research on behalf of researchers that are coming to look at political history, presidential history. Our purpose for establishing an institute in Washington, D.C. was to really unfold another part of our life. And that is to get involved with the formation of public policy that deals with education policy, and in some cases defense policy and strategies surrounding that, with sort of a Reagan-esque history to it. I think the work for Reagan is not quite yet finished, at least in the eyes of those who are organizing the library, and so it's a way for us to have a contemporary voice right in the center of Washington, D.C., to inform policy with education and defense.
That's fascinating. I think it's definitely a special place that we treasure here in Ventura County and in California. And given the pandemic environment that we've been in, what's the impact that you're seeing it having on this longstanding business model with Presidential Library? Do you think there's any stresses as far as the technology or what you guys are doing?
Yeah, I mean, certainly the technology has been stressed for us. Number one, just to stay together as a group. We're already a group that's now coast to coast, but certainly to do what we do and communicate properly and still get our message out to the county, the nation, and in some cases the world, we have to really be creative. Technology has helped quite a bit. But I think this pandemic is really informing how we're going to open our doors up again. For all the guests, as you might know, the Reagan Library, it receives nearly 500,000 visitors a year between the museum as well as other events that are hosted on the campus. All of that is going to have to be reimagined in terms of our occupancy. So we're in those stages right now of figuring out how to better work with partners that are within Ventura, maybe put more of our information stream online and sharing in a more digital way. And then, of course, the physical elements of the museum are certainly going to change. We're going to reduce the number of people that will be allowed within the museum itself. And then we've just got to be innovative with technology. That's one of our cornerstones. It always has been as a leading presidential library within the system. We're going to continue to do that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate you being here today, and I really appreciated you hosting the New West Symphony earlier for the Memorial Day event with New West Symphony. That was a special occasion at the Reagan Library. Very nice.
That was a pleasure and certainly an honor.
Well, thank you. And he'll be sticking around. If you have questions or comments, we'd love for you to put those into the chat. At the end of this, we'll go do a Q&A round robin with everyone. So feel free to have some questions and put those in the comments. We'll get to those at the end. We're going to keep moving. We're going to go next to Kristin Bell. Hi, Kristin. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, Kristin is the new community manager at Hub 101. Of course, Hub 101 is a fantastic place connected with Cal Lutheran University. Kristin, can you tell us what's your role there? What's going on with Hub 101?
Yeah, so like you said, Hub 101 is part of Cal Lutheran University's Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. We are a co-working space, an incubator, and a community that's dedicated to supporting entrepreneurs. So we're a place where entrepreneurs can bring their ideas to life and ultimately build and scale their businesses. We support entrepreneurs in a variety of ways, through collaboration, through co-working, discovery through programs, growth through mentorship, and community building through our events. And as you said, and what's on the screen right now, I am the new community manager there. I wear a lot of hats. I manage the day-to-day operations, develop strategy, manage our mentors, engage with our community and our members. And ultimately, my role is to foster community. And my goal is for Hub 101 to be a home and a launch pad for all of those who are working on solutions that are redefining industries and making a true impact on our world.
It's an awesome place. I love Hub 101 every time I get the chance to go there and see the innovation that's happening. And it's this kind of open floor plan. And it's really a special place where you have those breakout rooms with the glass windows. And it just feels like there's so much magic happening there. I'm really excited to see what you bring to the Hub 101 environment. Tell us, with it, that having that open environment, how is the COVID-19, how are you guys dealing with that over there at Hub 101?
Yeah, so the doors to the physical space have been closed temporarily since about mid-March, but we have been active and engaging with our members and our community virtually through a Slack workspace and through virtual events and programs and workshops and whatnot. So we have continued our weekly Freelancers Academy, and we hosted a virtual trivia night. We're also about to kick off a summer entrepreneurial speaker series, and we're also launching a guided and intensive entrepreneurial program with Innovation Propulsion Labs, IPL. And it's a program that is tailored to high school students and college students who may be looking to supplement a gap year or a gap semester or summer. And it's for them to create and develop and validate and launch a startup idea. So COVID-19 has absolutely posed challenges, but it's also created an opportunity for us to drive value in different ways. And we will be reopening, just don't have a final date at this time.
Well, thank you, Kristin. I hope you'll stick around for Q&A here. I see the comments filling up, and definitely encourage people to put comments or questions in there. We'll get to those at the end. Let's go now to Dwight Brown. Dwight Brown is the New West Symphony Chair-elect and also the CEO of Home Helpers. Let me bring Dwight on the screen. Dwight, how are you today?
Good, good. Thank you for having me.
Dwight, tell us a little bit, you must be busy right now. Of course, Home Helpers helping our seniors keep safe during the pandemic. Tell us about your background and also how you got into this and what's happening now with you.
Sure. So prior to this, I was a vice president at Anthem, working with seniors on the Medicare side. So I had been working with seniors for several years before, and when I went out on my own, I wanted to get into a business that was similar. Working with seniors, I find it very rewarding and very enjoyable. So I went out looking for companies to purchase and saw that a home care agency was available, and I bought it and moved here. So your next question was, how has COVID-19 affected us? It's interesting. It's business as usual primarily, with just little nuances of difference on the side. The seniors that we're taking care of are in need of full-time, sometimes, or emergency care all the time. So this is no different for them. They can't live without our services generally. So when this happened, the difference for us was primarily in the preparations that we had to take for our caregivers to make sure they were safe. The difficulty there was finding gloves and finding masks when they were all sold out. We started early in March preparing our caregivers with education and with awareness of what the symptoms were so that they would inform us immediately if anybody that they knew or anybody in their family was sick. Besides for the employee preparation, the caregiver preparation, the rest of the business has actually operated pretty much as normal.
Fascinating. I think there's a lot going on there. It's special. And I loved hearing your story that you bought this business to be here and do this work, given your background. Is there anything else that you want to add?
Sure. I think that COVID-19, I just wrote an article for a local magazine that this will really bring an awareness to, the care that we need to take for our seniors and what their options are for aging in place, essentially. This is really shining. There's constantly questions of when a family member is older and more vulnerable and you feel like they're no longer safe living alone, there's always a decision point that involves finances, socialization, safety, about what to do. Do they move into an assisted living facility? This has just made that decision a little more complicated because now we have to consider, is moving them into an assisted living facility, does it have extra dangers? So it's going to be interesting to see how that influences people's decisions going forward.
Thank you, Dwight. We'll stick around as well for the rest of the program. We have more questions coming. And, it's interesting as well with everything going on with COVID-19, the Summer Olympic Games in Tokyo. We're looking forward to that this summer. Of course, that's not going to happen. We're planning ahead here locally, the 2028 Olympics for the third time. That will be excited, or we'll be excited for that. We do have an Olympian here that we're going to bring up next, and that's Gary Hall. But before we get to him, I do want to share a video I have, and I'm going to play that now. Here we go.
Gary Hall Jr. has lived his entire life within a few steps of a swimming pool. His father, Gary Sr., swam on 3 Olympic teams in the 60s and 70s, earning 3 medals. Gary Jr. followed in his dad's footsteps and amazingly also became a 3-time U.S. Olympian. However, his athletic path and personal health had twists and turns that no one could have expected. In 1999, 2 years after a stellar performance in Atlanta where he won 2 gold and 2 silver medals, Gary Jr. was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, a debilitating and potentially life-threatening disease that requires that he inject himself with insulin up to 10 times each day. At the time of the diagnosis, doctors told him, "Your swimming career is over." Hall aggressively managed his diabetes, allowing him to compete in the 2000 Olympics and win a gold medal, becoming the first person to win any Olympic medal with type 1 diabetes. He capped his career by defending his 50-meter freestyle gold in Athens, securing his place in Olympic history.
Is Gary Hall going to get it done? He is! Hall with a gold for the 2nd straight Olympics.
He ended his Olympic career with 10 medals, 5 of them gold, and finished with a perfect record: 10 Olympic swims, 10 medals. For all that he has accomplished in the sport, and more importantly, away from the pool helping others, Gary Hall Jr. has been an exemplary champion in life.
Gary Hall, thank you for joining us, the 10-time Olympic medalist. Such a treat to have you join us tonight.
Yeah.
So Gary, you had to battle type 1 insulin-dependent diabetes in the middle of your Olympic career. What was that like?
It was tough. I was told by 2 doctors upon diagnosis that it was the end of my swimming career. If I had been diagnosed 20 years earlier, that would have been true. There were just limited medications that could be taken, the way that we tested our blood sugar and managed the disease, not possible. So that was the message that I received upon diagnosis. And it wasn't until I came across Dr. Ann Peters at the USC Keck School of Medicine that was a little more encouraging. And with her and her team, I was able to kind of wrap my head around what diabetes was, accept the lifestyle changes that were necessary, and get back in the pool and start training again with no certainty that getting back to the Olympics was an option. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
You know what? That was my mistake. I'm sorry, I was on mute.
I'm glad I was.
So now you're a salesperson or a spokesperson for MannKind, and they're an innovator here in Westlake Village. Tell us about what you're doing in the diabetes community there.
Yeah, so the biggest reward out of my entire swimming career was winning with diabetes, and in the process inspiring kids and other athletes with diabetes that they too can manage the disease and live healthy, full, active lifestyles and chase down their own dreams. And so to be able to partner with a company like MannKind, who's in Westlake Village there, they are the ones that introduced an inhalable insulin. So when I was diagnosed, it's obviously bad news when you're told you have a potentially life-threatening disease. You're going to have to take 10 shots a day for the rest of your life. Nobody likes getting that news. Nobody likes shots. And so to have an inhaled insulin, this is a huge advancement. I talked about like what was possible 20 years before my diagnosis. This is 20 years into the future, post-diagnosis, and it's gotten so much easier to manage the disease. But what I do is head up patient advocacy efforts on behalf of MannKind, and get to reach out to that touch point in the grassroots level and deal with patients, new kids that are diagnosed and their families that are reeling with so many questions. And that's the most rewarding thing that I've gotten out of all my swimming, is being able to do that community work and give back to the diabetes community that supported me in my swimming.
Thank you for all of that effort. Thank you for everything that you've done there. Congratulations on that as well with your gold medals. I hope you'll stick around for some questions here at the end. We're going to go next to Flossie Hall. Flossie is the CEO of the Association of Military Spouse Entrepreneurs. She's joining us here, and we'd like to talk with her more about her group. I do have this image. She was also on the cover of Military Spouse. So very, very nice to see that. Congratulations, Flossie. We'll bring her on now. Hi, Flossie Hall. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you for joining us tonight. I want to learn more about your group. So you're the CEO, the COO of the Association of Military Spouse Entrepreneurs. Tell us more about this group.
Yeah, so I'm the COO and the co-founder. I started it with another military spouse who's actually in New Jersey. And we started this association after being longtime entrepreneurs ourselves, and then being advocates in the entrepreneurship space and advocates for military spouses. Obviously, we're both active duty military spouses. And we saw that military spouses were struggling with one of the highest unemployment rates in the country pre-COVID. And we were trying to find ways to help lower that. And as entrepreneurs, we saw that there was this amazing way to kind of take your employment by the horns and become your own advocate by starting your own business. And by starting your own business, you kind of get to be the boss of your own future. And you can work from anywhere in the world. You can work from Japan, and you can work from Guam, and you can work from a laptop, and you can work around your kids' schedules. So we launched this organization last year, and we have some amazing partners on board, and it's a global organization. So we're helping thousands of military spouses all over the world start, launch, and grow their businesses. And we're being helped out by partners like LinkedIn and HubSpot and the SBA, and great organizations who are coming together to help military spouses.
That's wonderful. That's a special community that you don't understand the community unless you're in it. And I think it's wonderful that, you know, you're taking that initiative to do that. And share with us, what are some of the goals that you have for this group this year?
So this year, we just wanted to get up and launched and going. And what's different for us is that COVID kind of negatively impacted a lot of organizations, but we're a virtual organization. So we were kind of preaching that in order to reach military spouses, a lot of these programs were in major cities, and spouses don't always have the method, means, or time to get to a training or an SBA or an SBDC, that by making resources available virtually, that they can get to them on their own time and schedule. So we launched this organization as a virtual training program. So COVID kind of kicked us into high gear and got other companies on board and said, oh, light bulb, you were right. We can do this virtually. We can reach more people virtually. So now we're kind of on a rocket ship of growing this thing and really honing in on this. So we're just trying to manage the growth right now of what we're doing.
Well, thank you, Flossie. Thank you for sharing that. I hope you'll stick around here. And next, we're going to go to we'll go to Port Hueneme. Port Hueneme, and that's the bulk of the program here. We have the new city manager, Britt Connors, and also Celina Zacarias, the newest commissioner at the Port of Hueneme. Now, Port Hueneme, one of the region's biggest economic engines. Of course, Britt was the Navy base commanding officer at Naval Base Ventura County, and then he's worked for a few other executive roles. He also wrote a book, and now he's running the Port of Hueneme as a city manager, and it's also one of the most fiscally fit cities in our region, one of the most physically fit cities in our region. Let me bring Britt Connors to the stage here. Britt, nice to see you.
Good evening, everybody.
Wonderful, wonderful. Britt, what's new with you?
It's been a mad world since about a week after I took over the job. I guess either I find crisis or crisis finds me, but within a week we were in the depth of an emergency declaration for the city, and we had to change the entire way we provided services for the city. I instantly found comfort and relief in knowing that a lot of the relationships that I've developed over the course of, 10 or more years of being out here with both the Ventura County Leadership Academy, but also, the good folks at Cal Lutheran University, as I was a student in their management program, and all the elected officials, reminded me of something very important I learned when I was a operations officer and a fighter pilot, and that is you can't surge trust. And those trust relationships from former alumni of VCLA and the folks I met in all those organizations are really leading and making decisions for Ventura County that are really standing this county and the citizens of this county apart in how we've been handling this virus. And the other thing that happened was my best man at my wedding, a guy named Scott Young, was a flight surgeon. He's now the risk manager with a very well-known public health care services company, asked me to help him design somewhat like an air campaign, which was fun getting back into kind of the strategizing and planning in high uncertainty and high risk. So that was a kind of cool twist to all of that. So I've been trying to open beaches and get people back to normal for the last couple of weeks or so.
That's great. Well, I have interviewed you before. I always enjoy talking with you. I always enjoy hearing what's on your mind, and just the way that you speak and the experience that you have is so evident. So I think it's great that you're in that role. I expect to see good things, as I'm sure you're already working on them. I do have a video here. We're going to show this video now that we may show the whole thing. We may cut it a little short, but let me show this of Port Hueneme here.
It's all right. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. And I say, it's all right.
It's so fun to see these drone videos. I did cut that short, but I love just, the beautiful space that is there that you guys have that, it's a wonderful place. As far as I mean, you look at that, it's beautiful. I love it. That's where you go to work every day.
Yeah, but I stay in the office mostly. No, I get out. The beach is wonderful. It's unfortunately a well-kept secret. It's somewhat guarded by its inhabitants. But it's really a really neat place, and we're trying to, and I'm glad Celina's here too. But we're trying to work with the port and the base, and really change the trajectory in terms of innovation and technology and a bunch of other things. We got a great partnership going.
Let me bring Celina on now, and thank you, Brick. We'll come back to you for more here, and always good to see you. I did love your book, by the way. I've shared it with people. Fighter, Pilot, Parent. If you've not seen that or read that, definitely pick that up. It's a wonderful book. All right, we'll be back with more with Brick, but now we're going to go to Celina Zacarias. Celina, nice to see you. Now, Celina's everywhere. She's working at Cal State Channel Islands, and now she's the newest commissioner at Port of Hueneme. Celina, tell us a little bit about the port, and many of our viewers may not know the port, but what's your role as a commissioner, and how's that going so far?
Well, so far, just like Brick mentioned, is that a month after I was sworn into the position, COVID-19 hit, and it's been a whirlwind. But I think that it's interesting. In my previous life, when I first after I graduated from college, I got into mortgage banking at a really bad time when rates were 24%, and I thrived. And I was in mortgage banking for 25 years. The majority of my career there was in affordable housing, which led me to work with a lot of elected officials. And then when I started my position at Cal State Channel Islands, the university opened up in the worst of economic times. And once again, I've thrived. So I guess now with the Port of Hueneme, it's going really well because I'm learning by fire, and it's been a great learning experience, one that I did not anticipate. It was a very nice surprise. On January 30th, I received a call from two individuals that I highly regard saying, we're having a special meeting at the port, and we are looking to fill the seat left vacant by the passing of our dear friend, Dr. Manny Lopez. We'd like to consider, applying for the position. And this was a Thursday, and I said, well, when do I need to know? When do I need to decide? They said, by Monday. I thought, oh, okay. Yes, okay, let me do my homework. So I started calling folks up. And the beauty about this is because I've been so involved in the community throughout the years, I've known about the port. But you would be surprised at the economic impact this port brings to our community. The Port of Hueneme contributes economic wealth to Ventura County and Southern California of over $9.5 billion in cargo annually. We generate over $1.7 billion in economic activity, $119 million paid in annual taxes, and we provide over 15,800 direct, indirect influence jobs regionally. Our top trading partners at the port are Austria, Brazil, Canada, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Germany, Great Britain, just to name a few. And the role that the commissioners play is we set policy, and I'm joined on the board, of course, by longtime Port Commissioner Jesse Ramirez is our president at this time, and Jason Hodge is our vice president, Mary Ann Rooney, secretary, and Jess Herrera, commissioner, and then yours truly. But really the day-to-day operations and who has kept the port going and is doing a phenomenal job at is our CEO Port Director, Kristin Bell, and her incredible staff. When COVID-19 hit, they went into full force to try to do what they could, change the process, make sure, most important of all, that the employees were safe. And we have been able to keep the port open due to her direction and, of course, the commissioner's guidance on what needed to be done to ensure, first of all, the safety of all our employees. But a lot of folks do not realize the gem and the economic vitality that the port brings to, once again, not just Port Hueneme, but to the entire county in Southern California.
Well, you're right. I mean, that it is such a huge economic engine for us. And I do have a video I want to share, and then I want you to talk more about that. As far as how big, I'll bring you and Brick on to talk more about how big of an economic role that has for us. Let's show the video now of course, here's a picture. That's what we're looking at. There's Port of Hueneme. And then let's watch the video here. There's the Port of Hueneme, and we have Brick Connors on, city manager, Port Hueneme, and the new commissioner, Celina Zacarias. So that port, talk to us about how much of a role that plays in our county and in our region. You did mention some numbers, but I want to dive into that a little deeper if one of you could talk about that.
Okay. Well, for example, it's not just about the port and the work that goes on at the port, but we have nearby world-class distribution centers. We have the global auto processing services, the seaboard produce, lineage logistics, Del Norte distribution, channel cold storage, BMW. And so we've got quite a few that are outside of the gate per se, that are bringing back dollars to our community. And we work very closely with Captain, I still call you Captain Connors, at the city of Port Hueneme. So it's one part that has made this position easy for me to jump into is because of the relationships. I worked with Brick when he was captain in Naval Base Ventura County. So we've got that great working relationship, and we do have a lot more plans to work closer with the city of Port Hueneme and expanding and doing some great things for our community.
Yeah, I look at it from a business perspective, but also from a military perspective. And I kind of relish the opportunity I had to work and get to know the port in that previous life as a base commander. As most people know, the Navy, I think 90% of the world's commerce is moved by ships. And these ports are strategic in so many different ways. On the military side, it's a strategic port for a number of reasons. And when they're not using it for those reasons, it's great that we've developed a relationship where we can support port operation and the customers of the port in ways that benefit both the Navy, the port, the city, and our extended community.
Yeah, Brick, it's if someone was going to be shipping from another country into America, what are the choices they have? Because if we're not coming in to this, it's a deep water port, correct? And what other would it be? San Francisco? Would it have to be Long Beach? There's no other option. Is that right? Can you speak to that, Brick or Celina?
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got on the West Coast, you've got San Diego, you've got Los Angeles, Long Beach, you've got San Francisco, and then you've got the ports up north in Seattle, et cetera. And it really comes down to the distribution system and the products associated with that distribution system make one port a little bit more competitive and more profitable than others. And I think with the missing piece with most people is they don't understand how critical that infrastructure with rail and processing and how tight those supply chains are, especially for the fresh fruit and vegetables. But I'll turn that story back over to Celina.
No, you hit it right on the dot, Brick. That's exactly it. Is the access to the 101 freeway is, for example, if they were to go up to either San Francisco or Los Angeles, then you've got to get to the 101. And where are you going to get? You're going to get road blocked by all the traffic, right? So I think we have a great thing here in our backyard. And I think it's maximizing the partnerships and the opportunities that we have available for our community to grow. And two projects that I'd like to share with you that we have on the port is the Maritime Advanced Systems and Technology Laboratory, which is better known as MAST. And this is to foster ideas, innovation, and leading edge technologies with the advancement of ports and the maritime environment. That's one collaboration that we have with the external community, and we've got Naval Base Ventura County participating in that endeavor and numerous other entities in the community. Then we've got their most recent collaboration is FathomWorks, and that was established in 2019, and it's a partnership with Economic Development Collaborative, Matter Labs, Naval Base Ventura County to bring together the network of leading academic research, test and evaluation, and in-service engineering centers to further expand the nation's ability to provide solutions. So it's a really exciting thing. It's not just about us being there providing a service to our tenants, but us providing a service and collaboration amongst our community. And so I think that collaboration is what's really puts a spotlight on not just Port Hueneme, but on Ventura County. We have some great partners from all over the county and different sectors that come together for the sole purpose of how do we advance technology? How do we advance our community? How can we improve the relationships? These partnerships that we have in Ventura County are not as easily accessible in, let's say, LA County. And maybe it's because, of course, because the magnitude, the size of the LA County, but the willingness, I think, is what's very special about Ventura County as a whole.
Thank you, Celina. Thank you, Brick. Before we go to Q&A, and I want to invite anyone watching, if you have a question or comment, you can throw that in the feed. We're going to get to Q&A in just a moment for all of our panelists. But Brick, Celina, anything you'd like to add before we jump to Q&A?
One thing that I forgot to mention was something that you should be very proud of the Port of Hueneme is we became the first port in California to earn our Port Green Marine certification. And we continue to keep those standards high to keep us a green port.
And I would say, I'll tell you what I tell my team. We are going to make Port Hueneme the place where the cool kids want to go.
That's a nice way to put it, Brick. I like that. All right. Very cool. Brick Connors and Celina Zacarias, thank you for joining us here. We are going to go to Q&A. Actually, I see some nice questions here in the feed and some nice comments in the feed. The first one that I want to jump to is a question for Dwight. I'm going to pull it up, and then I'll pull Dwight up as well. Let me get Dwight back on here. Dwight, here we go. Question for you. You know, this one is interesting. How is everyone keeping safe? We see how many nursing homes are having really problems and issues. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Sure. So I actually provide caregivers to some local assisted living facilities and nursing homes when they need staff. Actually, they went through a huge crisis in that the assisted living facilities, the second anybody showed symptoms, they would call in sick, and then they were not allowed to come back. So the assisted living facilities have been really hit hard. So I've been actually helping them by providing some of my staff there. So I can give you the perspective from both sides. For the assisted living facilities, they are really working hard. They are providing for all of their employees gloves, face masks, eye shields, and gowns. They're taking temperatures for all of their staff and my staff when I assist there. They take temperatures at the beginning of every shift, and then it's constant hand washing. In the facilities where they've had cases, they actually separate the staff that helps the positive, the people who have tested positive, so that staff no longer is helping people at the rest of the facility who do not have COVID yet. For me, it's been more that if my caregivers, I provide care in the homes of seniors. So for them, the seniors are not at risk themselves of getting COVID. Most of them are homebound. They're not going anywhere. So I don't have to worry about my caregivers going to a home and getting it. I have to worry about them getting it out in the world and bringing it to one of my clients, which would be very, very bad. So we've just been extra diligent about communications. We started communicating very, very often and very early about the symptoms and precautions. And then making sure, we took a survey at the very beginning of March of any of our caregivers who had left the country in the past 90 days. That doesn't matter anymore, but in the beginning it mattered, right? So, and then if they have any symptoms at all or family members have had symptoms, then they've been reporting immediately. We have had none of our clients contract COVID-19. So we've been very successful about not having any incidents where the clients are exposed. So you're muted.
Thank you, Dwight. I think that's a very challenging role. We all tip our hat to the frontline workers and the things that you guys are doing with their with all of that effort. I do want to bring on another question here. We have, are the beaches open? I'm going to go to Brick for this one. And what about the pier? We saw that pier in the video. Brick, how are we looking at the beaches?
We're at Port Hueneme. We're looking pretty good. You'll find that this weekend that pretty much all the beaches, the state beaches, the city beaches, and the county beaches in Ventura County are going to adopt what we call the density management strategy that we used this past weekend at Port Hueneme, which allowed us to open our parking and create flow paths so that people spread out naturally and self-regulated naturally on the beach. We put a bunch of delimiter cones up there. The pier, although we're considering opening it, it is basically an infection gauntlet because of it's narrow and you don't have a lot of maneuvering room. We're still restricting that use, but everything else on our beach is open, and I think you'll find that most beaches will probably follow suit this weekend in Ventura County.
We have a comment here from Monica. She says, "Nice, Brick. You are the cool kid." Of course, tying into your comment earlier. Yeah, thank you, Monica.
Oh, she's the best.
Appreciate that. We have a question for Celina. I'm going to bring Celina on. So, Celina, here's a question for you. Question is, how do you see your job at CSU Channel Islands being a fit with your new role as the commissioner at Port of Hueneme?
You know, it's worked out really well. My role at the university is Director of Community and Government Relations. So it's tying the community to the campus. Let's say, for example, for internships or for funding opportunities or advocacy efforts. It's about bringing the community, bringing the university out to the community. And so this ties in perfectly. The harbor position is one of an ambassador per se. And so while we oversee the policies of the port, we also are responsible for bringing strong relationships to the port, like I do at the university. So it's worked out really well.
You're muted.
I keep muting myself. My kids, I think, are doing WWE wrestling right outside my room. I keep muting myself and forgetting to unmute. I apologize. Thank you for letting me know. But the naval base right here in Ventura County, such a big part of our community, and you're all supporting that in many ways, and you guys have worked together in some ways as well. I know with Flossie and Brick, and can you speak to Flossie how you guys are connected and how you support what's going on in the naval base and how that is a big community here in our county?
I think there's multiple ways that we support each other. So I actually helped with the Fathom Works project that you talked about. So I work with Eric and Bryant Wen over at Matter Labs. So I help participate in that program. I work with Brick a little bit on his book and helping him there. And then we've been brainstorming how to help the military spouses here and how to keep the spouses and the veterans here and keep them employed here. We know that if we can keep them happy and healthy and creating jobs and businesses, that they're not going to come here, do their 2-3 years and then leave, that they'll actually create economic impact and they'll want to stay and then maybe retire here. We did. we were only supposed to come here for 2 years and then leave. And then I connected to this amazing community and met Brick and all these wonderful people. And then we extended here because I got to connect into my community and I found the reason to stay. But a lot of the families here on the bases, they don't. They seclude themselves. So we're trying to pull them out of this shell in this military space and show them how beautiful this city is and show them all that Port Hueneme has to offer and really give them a reason to love it and then stay outside of that 2 or 3 years and 6 years and 10 years and then retire and raise families and create jobs and do all those wonderful things, just like I'm doing. So.
That's great.
If I can add there, right now when I was listening to you, Kristin, I thought to myself, wait a minute, I need to get her and connected to our Veterans Center because we have veteran students that are on campus, and how do we engage their spouses is very important as well. We just recently had our veteran ceremony and we graduated 50 veterans from our local community, so I will be reaching out to you for that. Thank you.
Yeah, and we know if the spouses are happy, then the service members are happy. If the spouses aren't happy, then, they're like, can I move somewhere else? Can I go somewhere else? So we're trying to find them great, meaningful work and ways to connect them to great resources in the area and get them off of, I'm on Point Magoo, so you can often be secluded in these little areas where pulling them out of these bubbles and saying, look at all that's out here and look at this great area. And we're doing great things and have some great plans. And I know Brick has some really big ideas to empower the military spouses and the veteran community here.
Yeah, Flossie's my hero, as is Gary. They're both long time or a shorter time here for Flossie, but and I'm also an advisor to the Fathom Works, and I've known Celina for a number of years because Dick Rush was very instrumental in community engagement program at the base. And in fact, I used to take pictures anytime she was not wearing a red dress, sending them to the president of the university, Dick Rush. So we've got a long collaborative history, and again, you can't surge trust, and that's the key thing when you want to collaborate on big things. You need to have trust relationships.
We're going to end with our last 5 minutes and do a round robin. So everyone's going to have one more chance to share a few thoughts, an idea, and I'll let you share whatever you like. I'm going to touch every guest that's still here. I did see we have Jody Kenderian join us, and I'll bring her on here at the end as well. We're going to go with Robbie, then Kristin, then Dwight, and then Gary. So we'll get everybody on for a quick round robin to end for our last 5 minutes. Final thoughts. Robbie, thank you for joining us. I'll give you the stage. Final thought as we close.
2 things. A lot of people ask me, what can I do? And the answer, first and foremost, is take care of yourself first. This is actually Mental Health Month. So if you need help, there's 1,000 resources for virtual help online. It's okay. It's the new normal. So take care of yourself first before you take care of family, loved ones, and friends. Second of all, donate blood. All the blood banks across all of California need help, including UCLA. We will have blood drives continuing through the whole next couple of months. And, blood drives are important. In Ventura County, there are many different places where you can donate blood, also through UCLA. You can Google that as well. And lastly, for any of you who are on this wonderful event that John has done for so long, if you need any professional speakers at no charge, any UCLA doctor in my purview is available to do any type of Zoom or StreamYard or talk to talk about health and health issues that are important to any of the organizations. And the best thing about this group is everybody's a networker. So if you really need help on any subject, just find me and I'm happy to help connect everyone. So stay healthy and take care of yourself first.
Thank you, Robbie. Thank you very much. We did have Jody join, Jody Kenderian. Jody, nice to see you. Jody ran the Girl Scouts in our region, and now she's the executive director of development programs in the Office of University Advancement at Cal Lutheran University. Hi, Jody. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me for your first InfoDine online. I'm with Cal Lutheran, and I've enjoyed the discussion thus far. Thanks for having me. At Cal Lutheran, one of our responses to COVID-19 is just really bringing students resources that they need. Many of our students had to leave campus many are concerned about whether they're able to continue on next year due to financial hardship. And so big news for us recently is we just had our annual Giving Day. We called it CARES Day this year in a switch up due to the COVID response. And in one day, we were able to raise $1.9 million to support students and the campus. And so we're just on the heels of that, as well as on the announcement of a new president in the next week or two, as President Chris Kimball transitions to retirement and new opportunities outside of Cal Lutheran. So there's definitely a lot going on campus and off campus, and we're grateful. So I want to take a moment just to say thank you to everyone who's been supporting Cal Lutheran over the years.
Thank you, Jody. Thank you for joining us tonight. And we're going to go to Kristin next. And to close it out, we'll do round robin. Kristin, you're up.
Okay. Well, this has been wonderful. It's been really inspiring listening to everyone's stories, and we're all new in our positions. And it sounds like we all came on board right around COVID, when COVID-19 hit. Yet there's a lot of innovation and shifts happening, and it's really inspiring to be involved in around this group. So thank you for holding this. In terms of Hub 101, we are aligned with a lot of this as well. Flossie, a place for entrepreneurs and all that. So I'd love to open the space up for this group and for entrepreneurs and those within innovation. And we also have a pool of mentors if anyone wants to get involved in that capacity as well. So thank you again for holding this.
Thank you, Kristin. Thank you very much. Gary, final thought.
Yeah, people with diabetes are about 4 times more likely to suffer from depression. And we're in a really isolated time. Everybody feels disconnected some way. And so it's important for people with diabetes who are in the highest risk category for COVID to connect with others. And we have to do that through these virtual connections that we're doing here at InfoDine. It's so neat to be able to do that. But I would just encourage patients with diabetes to reach out and connect with others. If you need to connect with me, you can find me at MannKind Corporation, and I'd be happy to talk to you and offer some encouragement the way we all need it sometimes.
Thank you, Gary. We appreciate you being here tonight. Mark, we're going to go to you next. Final thoughts, Mark.
All right. Well, final thoughts are really surrounding COVID. It has been a unique time for everybody. I think one of the things that COVID-19 has done for the world is slow it down a little bit. And we've had the opportunity to really take a look at what and who is important around us. And so the only thing I can say in this final round, first and foremost, thank you for having me here. I'm honored to be with such great guests and company. But if we can take this time and never forget about the things that are important and the things that are really meaningful, and maybe we should slow down a little bit in our world because this has given us the rare opportunity to put a lot of things on pause. So I just leave everybody with that hopefully we can, as we reopen the communities and the country and the world, that we maintain a pace that is palatable and healthy.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much for joining us as well. Dwight, you're next. And we have a couple more. We're almost done on the hour here. Dwight, thank you for joining us. Final thoughts.
Sure. Yeah, this is a great time. If you are fortunate enough to not have been affected by this financially, this is a great time to be giving back to the community. Many of the local nonprofits are really hurting from this more than they normally would be. People are being more careful about their spending. So I'm involved with several local nonprofits. This is the time that those great organizations doing great work really need help. So I'm involved with the newest Symphony, Senior Concerns, helping seniors. A lot of organizations either they need help financially or they can use help time-wise. And if you have the luxury of extra time now, give some of that back. They can really use it.
Thank you for joining us. All right, we're going to Celina, Flossie, and Brick. Bring us home round robin. Celina, then Flossie, then Brick.
Yes, just like the gentleman just mentioned a few minutes ago, is that this is a time where the community is coming together. A big shout out to Kristin Bell, our CEO at the port, Miguel Rodriguez, who has put together a program called Feeding the Front Line. That program is an amazing program of community partners that have stepped up to the plate to feed those individuals that are actually picking the food that we are having on our table. And one of our partners is Del Monte, so big shout out to them. So it's not just about doing business in your community, it's about stepping up to the plate when your community is in need and really being there as a community member. So thank you to all those who have participated in Feeding the Front Line. Thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you. I'm new to this community. I've only been here 2 years, and I've been completely welcomed with open arms. And to be able to work with Brick and the port, and I've worked with, Hub 101 and Cal Lutheran, and I'm just absolutely blown away at the support and togetherness and how a community can really come together and support one another. So I'm just so grateful to be a part of it, and to just see what powerful things can happen when teamwork and community building can happen. So I'm just grateful for all of you.
Thank you, Flossie. We'll go to Brick, and we're going to end with Jody. We're going to close it right after Jody. Brick, you're up.
Let me just check my mute. Okay, we're good. All right, Monica and Gary reminded me of a really important shadow story that I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of. Our most vulnerable citizens are our seniors, and we went from serving probably 30 meals on average every week to that particular demographic with our community service and recreation staff to going over to maybe 180 or so. And Monica and her organization is intimately involved with covering those very, very, very important needs. And you don't hear that story told very often. Now on the depression side, those same citizens are unbelievably depressed because they're homebound, they're isolated, and they're dependent on almost everybody for their needs. And so we started a program with the Port Hueneme School District, and we're having kids actually write in color and make pictures and cards and put in each one of those meals. So it's important, like many of your guests have said, is to give back and serve those in our greatest need. Thank you.
Thank you, Brick. Very well said. Thank you to all of our participants tonight. We have our last participant here and her final thoughts, Jody Kenderian. Jody?
Thank you. We're so lucky and fortunate to live in Ventura County, and this online event is just testament to the wonderful people that make up this community and make this a great place for us to call home. I think it's probably the best county in the nation. So thank you all for convening this great dialogue and how we're resilient with the 3 years, incredible years that we've had, from fires to floods to now pandemic. So thanks for convening.
Well, thanks to everyone for joining us on InfoDine online tonight. And as you know, these are also great in-person events. We normally have gourmet tray, past appetizers and fine wine, and also local craft beer. All thanks mainly to John Lockhart's hard work putting these together. We do small gatherings at private homes, and hopefully those will be coming back soon. But until then, we may be broadcasting. You can get more information about the broadcasting at peoplemedia.live. And you can also be sure to stay tuned to that website to learn more about programs. Also, like the InfoDine page on Facebook and also the YouTube channel. Thanks again, everyone. Please stay safe until we meet again.